And we're live. Yeah, once again, welcome. This is Blade Talk. Blade Talk, where a load of knife makers hang around and just talk crap. This is easy as that. Yeah, I'm busy hand sanding, and I've asked my good mate, Mr. Michael Zwan from, dude, you need to.
Palaborvo.
Company. No, I know from Palaborvo, man, but your company name?
Penga and Lovo Customs.
Pinta and Glovo Customs, meaning the
Pinta.
crazy elephant. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Okay, so what you busy working on, buddy?
On quite a few knives. I'm busy working on that small sax, about 70 centimeters long. And then 2 paring knives.
Excellent.
And then this one.
Let me just try to get focus on you. Oh, not on me.
I'm busy with the handle, sanding the handle now. It's going to be one of my signature snakeskin handles. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Now Niels is gone.
No, I'm here, man. I'm here. So what I'm saying is, you obviously finding the skins and then resin.
Yeah. What I basically do is first pour a small layer of thin layer of resin. Let it dry out completely, and in the meantime, I prep my. This is not the real skin, eh? It's a skin that it's a shed skin of the snakes.
Of course.
While the resin is drying, I'm prepping my my skin because you know how when you get a snake skin out of felt, it's usually bunched up, curled up, or whatever. So you need to have it completely flat.
Of course.
And to prep that took a bit of trial and error. But I finally found out how to do it, and then basically put it on the layer underneath it, and then pour a layer over on top of it, and that works.
Excellent, man. Excellent. I was hoping to get old Alex in here as well, but it looks like he's fallen off completely.
Yeah, Tasmania has fallen off of the globe.
Who else is on? Yeah, so Alex from Valhalla Ironworks, all the way out in Tasmania, with the Forge Cast. And he's currently recording the Forge Cast, so that's why he's not joining us. But my whole thing was, I'm hand sanding, man, and I absolutely hate hand sanding. Yeah, so
I'm doing the same thing.
You're busy doing the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip, and I've shared this on Instagram, but obviously I can't live broadcast to Instagram. So they get kind of, special treatment. Special treatment. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip you over. So this is a knife I'm currently busy with. Yep. And I can't zoom in. Let me just put focus on this piece. Mate, sorry, man. We'll get back to you in a moment, buddy. And I'm on 1,200 grit. So when I hand sand with turpentine. Okay. And when I'm just going to do the tip here, you can see up to there, that is a lot shinier than this. So I'm just going to redo the tip. So I'm using a cutting fluid. In my case, it's turpentine. And when I sand, that shouldn't happen. Let me just lock this up completely. Yeah. So when I sand, you can actually see it going dull. So I'm actually going to go into a bright and shiny section so you can actually see it. So new sandpaper, and there you go. So you can see it actually cutting, and you can hear it cutting. And I do 10, 15 strokes, and done. Then I'm good. Then that piece of paper that I was using is spent. Yeah. Okay, so now I've dulled up quite a section. Let me just redo the entire blade here. Why? Because I'm anal retentive. Okay, so then I've got a rag and I can wipe it down. But now you can see the difference between there and there. Here it's a lot duller. Okay, so what we then do is, you need dry paper and you need your piece dry. So I'm just going to cut. This is 1,000 grit. It is a cling spore, but it doesn't matter. Irrespective of your brand, the process is exactly the same. Just need to find my scissors. And all I actually wanted to do was just share this, and I want to get this out of the way, and then we can start talking about the way that Mitchell actually hand sands. So then I go dry over it. So I normally don't sand in large, broad strokes, but because that piece has already been sanded up there. So now you saw me doing 5 or 6 strokes. I'm edging up, and now I pick a section and I go across. Done. That's it. So I move up again. I move back a bit. Go. Move up again. And I pick a system or a section, and I just up and down that section, and you can see the result. Yeah. So just get down. So I'm just going to do up to half this blade. And you can literally feel as soon as that sandpaper is not cutting as it should. Or there we go. That little piece is done. Now move up. And I try to overlap halfway through my stroke. My stroke is about half an inch, or about 10, 12 mil. And I try to overlap half of where the previous one stopped. Yeah. So there we go. So that will now be about halfway up my blade. And if I take my light out of the way, there we go. You can actually see the difference, dramatic difference there. So now what I'll do is I'll grab a new piece, and I'm going to go from there long strokes back. And all I want to do is I want to get rid of all those little J hooks. So I'll only do this when the actual entire thing is hand sanded, yeah? But now because I'm doing longer strokes, the sandpaper will not last as long. So I'm having to change more frequent. So I do about 4 or 5 strokes and then move it up. 4 or 5 strokes, move it up. And this is really only if I'm polishing Homons. But I've had quite a few questions on this, and seeing that I'm busy with it, I might as well show this. Yeah, move it up, stroke it out, move it up, stroke it out. And that is not my final finish. So when the entire thing is done, I'm going to come in with that and stroke down. Move up, come in, stroke down. Move up, come in, stroke down. So I want to do that on 1,200 grit, and then I'm going to go back into my edge. Yeah. Or if I am really wanting that entire piece to be nice and shiny and still showing the Homon, I will then start hand rubbing in with a polishing compound. And the one I use is Auto Sil. Done. Yeah. I picked up a brand new little tube. I think it was on Monday. Done. So that's only if I don't want an edge finish. So if I want 1,200 grit nice finish, which I'm obviously likely going to buff, but I don't like the buff, so I'd much rather use the polish and hand rub, and that you'll do in little circles when you're done. So my grubby little hands, I am scratching this thing, just rubbing on it. Okay, so that was my 2 cents. Yeah. So now we're going to focus off and look at that rig that he has got there.
Nice, huh?
I like that. I do like it. Man, for me, hand sanding rigs is a love-hate relationship. I hate them and I love them. So what was not in my camera is my rig. So let me just quickly set that up. I'm not going to stream it, so you guys can actually see what I'm using. And then I'm going to just bring it up side by side. There we go. So I am using, and my microphone's in the way here. Don't worry about that. I'm using a multi-directional vise thing that I can pretty much get into any direction. There's a downpipe 76 by 50 rectangular tubing that I bolted on the bottom of mine, and this now just bolts on there. It's got a quick release here that manages the ball section, and I can pull this thing into any multiple direction. Yeah, and then also the actual vise itself has got a clicker. Well, I call it a clicker. Oh, come on. So it's a ratcheting system. So I can now turn this thing into any direction as well. So you can get any conceivable angle, any conceivable direction of mounting or clamping on there. Yeah. So when I do handles like Meneer Zwan is doing over there, let's just get close up on the crazy elephant. A lot of knife makers prefer that rig. I had one right in the beginning, and but I don't like it, man. I don't like it. I don't like it because you can't clap on a handle with that thing. You can only clamp the blade. So it's good if you want to do handles, but it's not so good if you want to do blades. So Mitch, what have you got?
I don't agree with you.
Yeah, can you clamp a handle in there?
I am busy building because let me just open it up.
Yeah.
Come on, get out. These are basically 2 wooden blocks, and I am busy building a wooden block which will actually hold my handle like that. Then I can do my blade. Because every now and again I get a mishap because I'm still a beginner. And then I have to hand sand the blade again, of course. And that is why I am busy with that, well, let's call it a handle clamp. And then I can reach my blade. So
okay. Well, I like that.
But like I said, I'm trying to make that.
All right, and you'll also see, seeing that one on hand sanding, you will notice that Mr. Zwan over there is hand sanding with water on his handle.
Yeah.
So number 1, brother, what handle material have you got there?
This is a two-stage epoxy resin.
Okay, so there's the resin.
I cannot sand that with a cutting fluid on oil base or whatever, because that will influence the color of the resin, and that's why I'm using water.
Excellent. Well, on any wood that I do, even this Arizona Desert Ironwood that I've got in the bench here, or clamped down that there, it's already sanded to 1,500, I think. No, 1,200 grit. But I will go over it with 1,200 grit. So I'll wet it, I'll let it dry, which raises the fibers, and then hand sand with 1,200 grit again. Then I'll start my true oil finish, which will raise the fibers again. But then when I do the true oil finish, I no longer hand sand. What I then do is just 0000 steel wool. Okay, so hand sanding tips, dude. What have you got? So hand sanding epoxy resin. Go.
Yeah, a lot of sandpaper, a lot of water, and don't use your sandpaper completely down to the paper. That is just a waste of time, and I have noticed that with some epoxies, you actually get the discoloration of the paper color into your epoxy. I don't know how that works because I'm not a chemical engineer or something like that, but I've had that happen to me a few times.
But you're a bladesmith, so people can trust your opinion. Yeah.
I'm not a smith. I'm a vegan knife maker.
Yeah, trust me, I'm a bladesmith. Yeah. so
yeah,
for this,
especially that trust me part.
Yeah, so for this episode, we'll go. Trust me, I am a knife maker. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. So anything else you want to say? So don't sand until your paper is done, is spent completely. You're going to end up sanding, and you're not going to get any result. Yeah. So that's number 1. Number 2, what's your second
exactly. Tip? For the resin, go all the way up to 2,000, 2,500 grit, especially when you, like in my case, let me get it again, using this kind of stuff, because this is just a clear color over it, and the layer is actually about 6-7 mil below the surface, and you really want that layer to pop. So go as high as possible, and then just lightly buff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I just need to cancel some lights here.
Yeah, no problem.
Because I'm getting reflection on my blade. I'm getting reflection on my blade where I really, really don't want it. Okay, so all I'm doing now is everybody tells you to sand in high quality light, which is brilliant. But I find as soon as I start doing 1,000, 1,200 grit, if I've got light, very slight on my blade, and I now tilt my head, because I know when I'm at 1,200 grit, or 1,000 grit in this point, there is no marks left. There is only 1,000 grit. Done. And this is the second time that I'm now sanding 1,000 grit, so I've done it wet. I made sure that I've got no 800 grit scratches left. And now I'm sanding dry just to make it all nice and shiny. And I find that if I'm going to go back into a very, very diluted solution of ferric chloride, just to make it gray again, I get a nice result. Yeah. But if I'm setting up for the buff, which I hate, or a hand polish, this is the best way for me to do it. So I now sand in dim light, if it makes sense. And I'll adjust, because all I want to see is the Hamon pop right there. So I've got my little gooseneck light, and you can see the Hamon coming around, and it's onto the clip, and I just want to see it pop there. And with direct light on a shiny piece, I can't see squat. And you can see the handle moving, so we need to just tighten everything up again. So on the other side, when I got to polishing the clip, which is I'm doing on this side, I actually noticed one or two little scratches right at the top, dip, in doing this. But as soon as I've got the light on it, everything reflects. You can't see those. So as soon as I took the light off, I could see the little scratches, which meant I had to go back to 800 to get them out. But luckily, it was only a small little spot, and that works for me, yeah? So if I don't have to work hard, I like it. So on steel, what's your process, man? Let's call it, you've done Hamon, yeah?
Not that much.
Okay, you've done mirror polish.
I must honestly say that Hamon, I haven't had many successes with Hamon, and maybe my process is wrong.
Look, a lot of guys think that getting a Hamon is very easy. Theoretically, it is, but your temperatures need to be very, very accurate, man. And there's also, you need to prepare the steel. It's not just getting up to the right temperature and sticking on clay on there. If you haven't done a proper annealing, a proper normalizing, blah, 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 that will definitely affect the Hamon you're getting. Yeah, and when it comes to annealing and Hamon, there is not just one temperature. There's 3 degree, degrading temperatures. Yeah, and I'm not going to get into that now. There's an entire document that my good mate wrote, and I don't want to say his name because people are gonna kill him over it. Well, kill him. Mr. Edward Braun wrote that document. He is a metallurgist, yeah, and he's a knife maker. And he's a damn good knife maker. And when I met him in 2016, we started talking over a beer, and he mentioned that he was writing this document for a company he was doing some work for, and specifically a company that does knife-making steels. And he was kind enough to forward that to me. And his name is on the cover page, and obviously we need to give him credit for what he's done. But what I found is, as soon as I shared it, people were taking his name off and ripping the document apart and only sharing sections of the document. So I stopped sharing it. So now, if you want a copy, you're going to have to contact it directly. And these are available on Instagram and Facebook, and the whole works. Yeah. But anyway,
I must honestly say I use his heat treatment guides, which I have a copy of quite regularly. He's good.
I mean, I'm not gonna. Yeah, he's freaking brilliant, really. Yeah. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with the metallurgist. Yeah. I am definitely not. Now, how we met was online. Actually, before 2016, thinking about it, I posted a video of my cut and bend I did for Sabre using 5160 and differential heat treat, and we started talking. And he said, but you can do that with a full quench. And of course, with my limited knowledge, I said, well, with my limited knowledge, I'm not aware that anyone that's done a cut and bend successfully with a full quench. Obviously, not knowing that the guys are doing it. Yeah. So when I said, well, I'm going to refer, because obviously now, before I started arguing with the guy, I went and had a look at who he is. It doesn't help you just getting off your little rocker, yeah, getting all worked up and getting your, I don't know, your tail in a twist. So I had to look and say, hey, this dude actually knows what he's doing. And his knives were way better quality than mine. So obviously, on the actual post, I said, well, dude, if you're willing to share, I'm willing to listen. And we became really good mates. Really, really good. And, man, I can honestly tell you that between Stuart Smith, Jan Burger, local guys, and Bertie, little Bertie, who's also a metallurgist, and collaborative pieces we did years ago. I'm talking, man, 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago, and a little play group we had at my house meeting once a week for 2 hours, discussing heat treat and then advice from Ed. Damn, dude, my knife making just rocketed. Seriously. Well, at least the confidence in my heat treat and the getting, repeatable results. And that is, as knife makers, something that we want to get. But, dude, back on hand sanding. So, what is your regime of hand sanding when you go through, I don't know, what's your favorite steel to work with?
Well, it's basically the steel everybody starts off with, 5160, yeah?
Yeah. Is that still your favorite steel to work with?
I must honestly say yes. I do dabble in the dark arts with stainless steels for my chef's knives, of course. But 5160 is still my favorite because it can take a shitload of beating.
Yeah, man.
I still want to try something like 52-100 because of its toughness and really good edge retention. But at the moment, still 5160.
Well, it's only good edge retention if you heat treat it properly, yeah? Like any knife. And
I don't know if you can remember, about 2 years ago, I made a knife for myself, and after I finished it, sharpened it properly, I managed to cut a 6-inch nail with 2 hammer blows, and it would still cut paper.
Nice.
1070 and stuff like that, it will not hold up.
Well, it's that kind of eventually. Well, no. It's a wild card saying that. Yeah, it will. If your heat treat is spot on, you obviously heat treat for the function. If the function is there to design and cut through 6mm mild steel bars, it's easy to make a knife that'll do that. I've actually seen a demonstration where a guy used N690 to cut through 6mm thick mild steel bar successfully. No edge damage, the whole thing. So it is more to do with your edge geometry, obviously with the heat treat and the temper and the whole thing. But your edge geometry has got a hell of a lot to do with it. Seriously. So these guys that make these knives on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube and blah, 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 that cut through these things and then slice paper. Keep in mind that guy didn't start making knives yesterday, and it is a marketing point.
Obviously.
Yeah. So I had a gentleman, no, I'm not going to call names. A gentleman asking me, hey, he wants this knife. What's the price of the knife? So I gave him the price. And he went quiet, and he says, can I make him a more functional knife? And I sent him a voice note. I'm saying, when you say more functional, do you mean a cheaper version of the same knife? And he comes back and starts laughing. And he says, yes, please. So a more functional version of a knife with $200 worth of Arizona desert ironwood on it. Yeah, it's a knife. A knife has got one function, that's to cut. Yeah, I can't make it more functional if it's already cutting.
Exactly.
That was absolutely. I mean, he didn't want to outright tell me, "Hey, dude, that knife is really funking expensive. Can you make me a cheap ass version of the same thing?"
Hey, you caught on to that one there. Really nice.
He's been supporting me. I think he owns like 15 of my knives. So although I don't take orders, I told him, yeah, I'm planning another version of this. Sorry, I need to just kill that. I'm planning another version of this, which is a bit smaller. And he says, no, you don't want a smaller one. I'm saying, well, I'm planning a smaller one. I don't take orders, but if you see this thing and all of a sudden it starts growing into a long one, on the live when I'm forging this, just say when I should stop. Yeah. So if you guide me and you can convince me, use this handle material, use this, use that, we might be able to do something. But as soon as I open myself up to take a single order, dude, I know that I'm going to be in trouble. I know I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I can remember years and years back, we haven't met yet, and I still wasn't making knives. I asked you to make me a, can't even remember which kind of knife. And you already told me, no, not taking orders. That's it.
No, dude, ask my wife. I'm really bad at taking orders. No, the thing is, I mean, life happens, yeah. And although I'm a full-time knife maker, I also run a company full-time, yeah. And luckily, my guys are clued up and they are building forged burners today and tomorrow. So this week is purely just building forged burners. And I actually contract Sean in. He's currently doing all the welding on those. So that's why I can spend the time making this. But if Sean was unavailable today, well, this week, I would have had to go and weld all of those. So I would not have had time to play. And this is what it is. Yeah, because this isn't work. As soon as I call them, see, now hand sanding, that is work. But
that's hard work.
Yeah, it's not my job, man. It's my hobby. And I want to keep it as my hobby. Dude, I'm going to phone you back in a moment, yeah? Don't phone me and then I don't answer and then you phone me back like 2 minutes later. So maybe he was in the toilet. Let's try this again. Yeah, man, so that was pretty much it. I do want to discuss, however, my approach to hand sanding. So obviously, the better you grinding. Let me just change camera. And again, dude, and I'm pretty sure he's seeing me live, and now all of a sudden he wants to friggin' speak to me. I'll phone you back. If you phone me again, I'm going to name you. So what I do is when I hand sand, obviously the quality or where you start in hand sanding is directly related to your skill behind the grinder. Right, so what I mean with that, this knife was actually ground to 1,200 grit. And then I etched it. And that's the photos you're currently seeing on Instagram and on Facebook and that. So, I mean, when I mentioned that this knife is so far from finished, guys are saying, no, but the Hamon is showing. I'm saying, yeah, that's straight off the grinder. There's not a single seconds with hand sand. So I started sanding on this at 1,200 grit. So I ground up to 1,200 grit. And I started sanding at 1,000 grit. And then I picked up a couple of spots on the tip. So I knocked it down to 800 right on those spots and then resanded on 1,000. And that's how I can get this semi-mirror finish with only 2 and a bit hours with a hand sand. Yeah. But I know how my grinder works. And I've spent the last 12 years refining that skill. So if you are only grinding to let's call it a 320, because a lot of guys kind of screw up. So on 30, so my grind progression is depending on carbon steel, for instance, I do ceramic plus, VSM ceramic plus on a 36 or a 60. Then I'll jump to 80. Then I'll jump to a 120 still ceramics. Then I'll go to a Illumiron belt, and I'll do a 180, 320, 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200. Okay. So that's my belt progression on carbon. So if you are just starting out, the guys are really battling anything over 120 because their machines are set too fast. So the slower the machine, the more control you have, the flatter you can get your stuff. Because there is nothing on this planet that cuts like a brand new 120 grit ceramic belt. Nothing. Yeah. If you can't get flat with that belt, dude, sell your shit. Seriously. And don't run fast. So the finer the grits, the slower the machine. So what this is my personal thing. So when I run 36, I run about 3/4 of my tempo, what the machine can allow. When I go to for instance, from a 36, I'll jump either to a 60 or an 80, depending on how close I ground. So let's run a 60 grit, then I'll run that at full speed. When it comes to 80, I'll still run it at full speed. When I go to 120, I'll drop down again to 3/4 power. If I get to a 400, for instance, I'm running half speed. If I'm getting to 1,200, I'm now at just under half. But for the rest of my belts, anything from a 320 onwards, I'm running a half speed of my grinder. And that is where I get the flattest flats, the cleanest results. You can actually see whether you've knocked off the previous grits, blah, 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 blah. So main thing when it comes to grinding, slow down. But if you are only grinding up to, let's call it 120, okay, you're going to start on that same grit, hand sanding. So now I'm going to flip cameras again. You decide, I want to finish this blade on, let's call it a 600 grit. Okay, so I want to finish this grit, this knife, in that direction on a 600 grit. Now you get yourself a piece of paper and you say, okay, fine. What grits do I have? Okay, I've got a 400, I've got a 320, I've got a 180, I've got a 120, I've got a 100, and I've got a 60 grit. So I'm going to start on the 60 grit and I'm going to grind. I'm then going to grind up to 120. Now, obviously, my marks are in that direction. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 120 in hand sanding and I'm going to knock it 90 degrees. So I'm first protocol 90 degrees this way on the same grit that I came off my belt. Then I'm going to knock in, so for instance, 120. Now I'm going to knock a 180 at a 45 degree on that. Okay. Then I'm going to go my next grit, say for instance a 220. Now I'm going to grit in 90 degrees over that. Then my next one, which will be a 400, is going to be 90 degrees in that. And then my final, which is then a 600, is now going to be in this direction. Done. You cannot sand everything in the same direction because you do not know whether you've got the previous grit up. And it is very, very, very easy from that very first grit. And that's the one that's going to take you the longest, is to get all that 90-degree scratch marks out. Done. That's where you need a light source, preferably 2 different light sources on your work, 45 degrees off the work or above you so you don't hit your head on it. And what you're then going to do is you're going to have your head, and as soon as you think you've got everything out, you literally get a marker, okay? And you go and you swing your head from side to side, letting the light reflect off the surface. And then while you're doing this, you're also going to go forward and backward. So you're doing this whole rounded motion. And that just makes the light run in a circle on your blade, and you can see any and every little spot. If you are doing this during the day, which I suggest you do, then you can walk outside. Nothing. So artificial light will still lie to you and hide a little spot. But if you're in natural light and you just flick this thing in your hand, you will see each and every little scratch. Then I take a marker and I go and mark that spot. And I pick one spot and I only sand that spot out. Get rid of that one. Move on to the next one. Move on. And like I told my apprentice, when he was still my apprentice, I don't care if you get fit working from where you're hand sanding to outside, every single spot. Don't try to mark 3 of them and then get all 3. Don't get lazy on yourself. Pick one, finish the one. Move on to the next one. Start at the Ricasso, move your way to the tip. Done. If you, for whatever reason, you get halfway through it and you need to do something else, take a marker, do a line, and then write on the blade, hey, I've done a 220 there. You can't get confused, and you can spend weeks hand sanding a blade, and it's only done when all the marks are out. There's nothing more irritating for a full-time maker is when a part-time guy or a hobbyist guy comes to me and he says, what do you think of this blade? And I can see 100 good scratches in there, but it is as shiny as hell. Buffing doesn't get rid of scratch marks. Doesn't matter how much we want that to happen. Yeah. And please stop this whole finishing a knife at 100 grit. Yeah. You are just, if you are one of the guys buying knives that are finished at 100 or even less, or 100, let's call it a 180 finish. Yeah. And the guys have etched it, and you can actually see the scratch marks in there. Dude, just slap that maker. Yeah. Because buyers wanting that and buying that is just, man, I don't want to say is giving knife making a bad name, but they are giving knife making a bad name. But it's not his personal preference. This is just me getting anal. I'm sorry. No. If that's your thing, then you spend your money. If that's what you want to spend your money on, you're more than welcome. you're more than welcome. Please don't even mention that in the comments. Please don't. Now, obviously, there are guys dropping comments, and I think there's 29 at the moment, so we might as well get over to comments. Okay, Max. All right, I am going to give you full screen, and we're going to have you cover the comments. Okay, we've got guys just saying hi, blah, 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 blah. Sean is saying, how's it going? Yeah,
I'm doing well, Sean.
How's it going, dude? All the way from Germany. Always good, buddy. You know it. Even if I'm bitching and moaning, I'm good. Matt, how's it going? We've got Bear.
Good.
All the way from the US, man. Well, I've got no idea what time it is. Well,
I know about what time 6 hours earlier there.
It all depends on where you go, man. So from Joburg to Atlanta, there's an 8 hours delay, so they're 8 hours behind us. I think, man, where's old Steve? Steve Katz is in. No, I don't know. What area of the state is Steve Katz in?
Florida.
Florida, that's 6 hours. Yeah, thanks, buddy. What's steel and old? Something. Yeah, I don't know. Matt Dunn, it's an unknown steel, man. My dad used to say, you think or you know. If you have to ask, then it's obvious that you don't know. My advice, literally about 4,500 knives later, toss it, go and buy steel that you know. Done. It's as easy as that, man. Philip, thank you, buddy. That's appreciated. See, half decent stainless. Yeah, dude. See, this is now we're getting into speculation, and I don't deal in speculation. Warren, how's it going, man? I have enough things to speculate about. In other words, like, what am I having for dinner tonight? That's fucking life-threatening. Yeah? That is life-threatening. Right. Yeah. Now, a steel that I've got to use a knife out of, all the freaking variables involved in that, I want to know what I start with, man. Before the... See, now, this is after and before, and Matt and the guys are having a conversation. You're more than welcome, man. Tried micro mesh. Yeah, micro mesh is used in bodywork on cars. Yeah. Stick to that. If you want to panel beat your car, use a micro mesh. Done. Yeah, you want to make a world class knife, use what other world class makers are using. If it was that good, everyone would be using it. Yeah. You will not be able to walk into a knife supply shop without finding that shit. And so amazingly, I haven't come across any knife supply shop worldwide that actually sells that. So, well, that's it. So we need to just share the rest of this conversation, all right? Yeah, that was a micro mesh. Yeah, the guy's going up. Yeah, no. If it made in China, yeah, I can promise you one thing: they didn't do cryogenics. Done. That is without even really knowing what the conversation is about. Because this is a bladesmithing channel, not a funking bright and shiny stainless channel. Yeah, well, no, my channel kind of suffers from split personalities, man.
I've got
handstand, sharpen, it's all the same. Okay. Yeah, but dude, you're a bladesmith. Oh, I know it. I will bring you over to the dark side. Oh no, the file again. Unless you've got a Rockwell hardness testing file, all you're testing is whether the piece of steel that you've just heated is harder than the file that you're using. So unless you know what the Rockwell hardness of that file is, don't, man. Once again, you're guessing. No disrespect, but I don't deal in guesses.
Mr. Peterson.
I've met Stefan Petersen, right? And that guy's off his rocker. Yeah, that's why he likes hand sanding. Thomas, how's it going, man? See, now, usually working with 1075. 1075 is the shit for the guys that care. I like it. I really, really, really like 1075. If you get your grabby hands on 1084 Hitachi Blue, or Hitachi 1084, even better. Because you know that 1084 is made from virgin steel, yeah? So if you don't buy 1084 and it's like 30 years old, then it's probably made from recycled steel. The guys do care about the quality, don't get me wrong. How do you How do you go straight to hand sanding from the grinder, or do you use a disc grinder? Thomas, I use a belt grinder. Yeah, and I go straight to hand sanding. So depending on what I do, this integral that I'm working on at the moment, I have used. So that's it. Yeah. So this one here, I literally took it off the grinder on 1,200 grit. Done. And I just started hand sanding. Well, 1,200 grit, and I started hand sanding at 1,000. Mitch, what do you do, dude?
Same thing. I'm not too confident with the flat disc, especially because I do not have a machine with a VSD. So I go straight from belt grinder to hand sanding.
Okay. So the disc sander in my shop is used almost exclusively when I want to flatten out handle material. Yeah, so if I do this,
exactly,
that there to flatten that out, the two pieces of wood to flatten that out, that's what I use a disc sander for. Yeah, and now on the integral here, I could only grind up to a certain point, and the rest was done with hand files and a little finger notcher on the grinder. Yep, it takes a bit of time just to, and I like doing that on a finer grit. So I'd much rather stand there for 3 hours doing it with a 400 grit and get it perfect than trying to get in with a 60 grit and there I have to start my knife again. Yeah. So slowing down actually helped me speed up, if that makes sense.
Oh, it absolutely does, and I basically do the same thing with this grinder. With this one, I also tapered my tang on the belt sander, and then went to the disc grinder, and it's now a nice, I think, 0.6 mil at the end. Nice. So it flattens it perfectly.
Okay, so you saying 0.6 mil on the taper, the back of the tang. What's the thickness at the ricasso?
At the ricasso is 3.
Oh, okay, that's a nice taper. Well done, man. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, so because this has a
nice
complete distal taper from here to there, and then the bolster part is 3 mil, and then tapers down to about 0.5, 0.6.
Excellent, man. Thomas, I don't know if we actually covered your question there. I don't use a disc sander on the blades of my knives. Yep. I hope that helps, man. Mr. Grant, buddy, have a look at the Bladesmith Hangout. There is a key. Click on the key and join us in there. Yeah. So the WhatsApp group, Bladesmith Hangout. There is the link. Click and join, buddy. Van der Werfen's knife metallurgy for knife maker. Van der Werfen metallurgy for knife maker. Go ask Google. And then study that. Done. Look at that. Yeah.
You jackass.
Yeah. So what we have is we've got a guys that are normally up for playing with on these Bladesmith Hangouts. We have got a WhatsApp group literally called the Hangout, and there's guys from all over the world in there. And we normally just share jokes and sort of little tips and the whole thing. And I just went live. I said, "Hey, we're gonna hang. Who wants to play with?" I just tried the file and could remove steel.
Now then, that knife is very, very, very soft.
Well, it all depends, yeah. So if you heat treat, for instance, 5160, you come right out of the quench and you're taking it out and it's still at your temperature. Okay, you will be able to file. You will be dinging it with a 58 Rockwell hardness file. You will be putting in marks in there. But if you let it cool down to room temperature, hell no, you will not be able to put a mark in there. So there is that to consider.
Yeah, but our room temperature is a bit different than yours, Niels.
Yeah, up where you are, dude. If you want to temper a knife, you just leave it outside. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because I've got the aircon blowing full blast now and it's still 32 degrees in the shop.
All right, so here's the thing for you. Andy is saying he keeps on getting J-hooks in my plunge grinds when hand sanding. Any tips to fix that? Straight cuts. Straight cuts. So let's hook this up. So Mitch, talk about this, dude. How do you get those perfect satin finishes?
Yeah, well, what I do, depending on where I want to end up, of course, like with this blade, because it is a working blade, it's a kitchen knife. I finish at 800 grit. I will go up to 1200 grit. Even with a 1200 grit, I will just start at one side and then just pull it towards me. Now, what I think Andy is talking about is at the plunges. I do not make plunges on my chef's knives. I hate them in chef's knives. But on the other knives, what I will do, let me see if I have a knife here where I can show you guys. No, I actually don't. But if you have your plunge line, I would, let's say the bolster is my plunge line. I would just put my sandpaper flat with a piece of wood that is ground in exactly the same radius as the plunge line. I would push it basically against the plunge line and then just pull the sandpaper out. So to get those J-hooks out. And after that, I would just gently put the sandpaper on the blade and just pull it towards me. And it works for me.
Done. Now that little trick where you've got, let me just change cameras here. So you develop a stick with the same radius that you have on your plunge. Okay. I prefer when I do that as a steel. So I actually have a 5160 piece of steel that I've been using as a sanding blocks for close to 12 years. And that's got various degrees of radiuses on it for, I've got 4 of them. So very different. This is a 3 millimeter diameter 3 mil radius that I have on there. For instance, I've got a 3 mil plunger. The most often when I'm doing, I put that down, put my paper under it. I'm not going to pull now, but let me just put this one on top. Yeah, put that on there, lock that up into the actual plunge, and then you take your sandpaper and you pull it up. Zoop. Yep. And that pulls it through and it cuts those plunges perfectly. That is a little trick that Mr. Jack Connon actually showed me.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was, about 11 years ago, and I've been using that. But to get to what you saw me doing while Mr. Zwan was talking, so my final sanding, I use a leatherback piece of Kydex. Now, my little sticks are just faceted, so I can get into little corners, and I don't like sanding with a square ridge backy, and I don't like the little handle thing the guys are doing. You're limited to something this small, and I can't use that and only go onto a corner, add pressure, and only work a specific section. Yeah? So I like just a stick. This is a really, really fancy stick. I've got the same stick in metal. Okay, and then I've got, so that one is metal. This one is Kydex. All right, and then I've got this one is Kydex covered in leather, and the skin side of the leather is on the inside. I've got the outside of the leather, smooth side there, and that just gives me a bit of backing when I do my final sanding, specifically when I do clipping. So what I do is I cut fresh sandpaper, thinner or exactly the same width as my piece that I'm using. I'm then overlapping it. Okay, so that when I now go into my plunge, I'm not, number one, scratching my blade here, causing J-hooks because I can't find the plunge. And then I go in, I spool back. So I've got leather contacting my blade into the plunge. As soon as I find the plunge, I can come out. Done. Then immediately I move the sandpaper up. So I never cut with the same piece of sandpaper twice.
Exactly.
And that's only on my final. Yeah. But I haven't done that in years. So, Andy, hopefully that has given you a couple of options. Yeah. Go have fun, brother. Otherwise, send me a DM, send me a personal message, and we'll sort it out. And I'll probably get another couple of makers that I know they know what the hell they're doing. And we'll get them to answer that question for you, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah? Life-threatening food. There are two types of people on this planet. Let me just change this back. Guys are on that planet, to eat just to stay alive. I am alive so that I can enjoy the food that I eat. This is not from running around and forging. Yeah? It's from good food. There we go.
And beer.
Good. No, I don't drink beer, man. I drink whiskey. And there's not a single guy that's overweight drinking whiskey. Yeah? That's a fact of that. He's not a stock removal guy. He's a split personality guy. Well, aside from the fact he was the only one in the bloody group that said, yeah, man, I've got nothing to do. I'm actually working for a living. So we can chat.
Hey, Peter. Wie geht's, man?
Okay.
Alles goed daar?
Peter. Answer. Aubrey is saying, in the middle of and sending out the Hammond. So my etch and polish routine, so I've etched it. So I was at 1,200 grit off the machine. Then I went into a fairly strong solution of 5160. Strong solution of 5160. Yep, you can. I know what I'm talking about. Trust me, I'm a bladesmith. So ferric chloride.
Quickly go and get my knife out of the kiln, Niels.
Done, buddy, done. So just give me a shot when you're back, right? So I then straight off the grinder, I just degreased and I went into ferric chloride. Done. Okay. This is a sheer fact that I couldn't wait to see what the Hammond looked like. Or where there was, look, I could see it while I was grinding, so I was fairly confident it's going to be there, papa. But anyway, so then I started sanding. Well, this is what I'm doing now. Then I have got, so my standard solution is 1 to 3. So I buy liquid ferric chloride and I mix that 1 liter with an additional 3 liters. So I've got a 1 to 3 dilution ratio, and that is a fairly strong etch. When I do this last etch, I'm going to go to a 1 to 10, and I mix. I don't do a suspended etch. I do an agitated etch. I've never done suspended etches. I think it's a stupid thing out there, especially these long where the guys just hang that blade. Ferric chloride is actually an alkali, not an acid. But as it chars away at stuff, that stuff that it's eating away is pulled by gravity along the side of the blade, causing those deep scratches in it if you forget it in there. So it's just not worth the risk, man. So what I do is I stick my thing in there, my blade, and I mix. And depending on this, I will probably not be using 0000 extra fine steel wool, which is this stuff here. Brilliant for starting fires with a lighter or a battery. Yeah, just light that over a battery. Survival tip. But anyway, I use that to get rid of the oxide layer, but not on a highly polished blade. So anything 800 grit lower, if I'm etching Damascus, anything I will swirl, take my 0000 steel wool, dip my hand into the ferric chloride, soak the steel wool, then I'll just scratch off in the last direction of my last sand. I'll just wipe off the oxides, go in again, wipe off the oxides, and then I'll start twirling around. So that just makes sure that if I've got any spots that acts as a resist, any gunk, whatever on the blade, done. I also never go into the ferric chloride with a dry blade. I always will go into the ferric chloride with a wet blade, and that keeps little spots from forming on your knife if you're not paying attention. Yeah. So I have a bucket of water next to my ferric chloride, clean water. I wipe it in there or swirl it around, and then immediately go into the ferric, swirl around, pull out. And now I can see if I've got spots. If I need to stop the process right there, I have got bicarbonate of soda also suspended in a solution right next to it. I can then go straight into the bicarb water, and then I've got neutralizing like ammonia that I spray onto the blade, and that stops the process immediately. And I can now decide what I'm going to do. Am I going to hand sand? Am I going to blah, blah, blah? But polishing out Hammond, I'm going to go into a 1 to 10 solution. Get back to your question. 1 to 10 solution, swirl it around until the Hammond just pops. So now the Hammond is already popping. Yeah, you can already see it. The Hammond's there. So all I now need to decide is what my finish is going to be. Do I want a matte finish or do I want a shiny finish? If I want a shiny finish, I'll now just go to the buff. Well, it's now just making it more shiny. So I'll either go to the buff, kind of like a mirror polish, which I hate on carbon blades. So I will then go into use a fine metal polish. And this is the polish I use, Autosol. Yeah, it's a German-based product, now produced in South Africa. Well, it still says on the package made in Germany, but I can tell you it is now produced in South Africa. It's 120 South African rand. Yeah, so what's it? $0.50? Not really. It is fairly cheap. This will last me, damn man, you can polish probably like 2 katanas with that. Yeah, so let's call it 12, 14 Hamon polishes. And all you do is put a little bead in circles done, and you can feel it breaking down. So as you're polishing, it gets finer and finer and finer and finer. So want a mirror type finish? Done. I'll use this straight after this. If I want a matte type of finish, then I'll etch and attend to, and I'll just keep on etching until I'm happy with whatever the surface finish looks like, and then I'll come back and I'll just polish. Now you've got a choice. Do you polish only under the Hamon? Do you want to get a shiny, blah, blah, blah? So surface finishes is a real thing for me. I rarely leave a blade just once. If I want it darker, I'll then go and liquid gun blue, so birchwood casey, then I'll gun blue the thing and then go in with the polish, which will take off 99.9% of it. But you get different shades on it. Yeah. So go and play. Don't do it with a client's knife. Go and play first. Yeah. But that is it. Hopefully that helped you out, buddy. If it didn't, once again, just pop me a DM, pop me a message, write a big ass comment, and I will try to do a video on how I do that. I actually have a video on YouTube on how I polish out a Hamon, if I'm not mistaken. There's a question. Do I use a softer back on my platen when I using higher grits, or just slow down the speed? Thomas, dude, I'm a lazy ass knife maker. Really, I am. And we'll just bring Mooch back in here. I am a lazy ass knife maker. I didn't want to change attachments on my one grinder, so I ended up with 9 of them. So I've got 9 knife grinders. If you're thinking I'm going to change attachments, dude, you've got another thing coming. I hate changing attachments. I hate hand sanding. If I could just get paid for making knives and talk crap without ever having to change an attachment, well, go as far as not even hit a knife with a hammer. I'd be good, yeah? Someone would pay me just to do this. Keep other knife makers out of work. I'll do that, rather. But anyway, so long story short, platen on your machine is your platen on your machine. It stays there. I don't fuck with it. Done. It is just steel on steel. And the steel I used is I just got my grinder. So 12 years ago, I made a D2 full hardened platen. Didn't temper it, nothing. It was probably something stupid like 12 mil thick. And I'm now down to just over 8 mil. So every now and then, because even D2, it's a hard wearing steel, is going to wear over time because you're using ceramics, you're using abrasives. Some of those abrasives get into the back of the belt and they wear down your platen. Yeah, so at least once a month, I will strip the platen on my personal machine and just go over it, just clean it up with a 400 on my surface grinder. Tick, 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 and it's done. I literally take off half a pubic hair's worth of thickness. Just make sure that everything's nice and tight. Done. So maintenance on your machine is utmost important. Make sure your platens are flat. Done. And that's it. No, I do not change the platen on my machine, but I do maintain it. Do I go for a soft backer? There are guys that are doing graphite strips and blah, blah, blah. I've tried all of them. Because I flat grind and I use up to 24 grits. Yeah. So if you want to do a 24 grit grind, you need to be even bigger than me. And you can't push with your handles. You need to add some serious pressure to that thing to be able to break the grit. So I had the misfortune of working on a mate's grinder. He had those soft, I don't know what is it. It's not a Teflon. It is a graphite tape the guys are putting over their their platens for some other stupid reason. And I pressed so hard that it gave an indent in it. And he couldn't grind anymore. He got these little ripples. He had to strip that thing down, spend days trying to clean up his platen. And I felt like an ass. Okay? I offered to do it for him. But he didn't want to take my offer. Seeing that I screwed up, I want to fix it. But anyway, so don't do the graphite backing on your platen. There are guys that go as far as to say, hey, you need to put glass in your platen. Dude, come to my shop. Yeah. If you see me grinding, 30 minutes in, you can't even touch the platen. The glass fucking cracks. There is no glue that it's on this planet that'll keep that glass there at the rate that when I'm grinding. Done. I try not to fuck around. So it obviously works for other guys. It doesn't work for me. My style. So long story short, you need to decide what the style is. Slow down on the higher grits. That's the best advice anyone has ever given me. That actually works. When guys come in for my one-day class, they've never touched a grinder. I don't do the grinds for them. They have to do the bloody grinds themselves. That's what they're here for. They want to make a knife. And we make a knife in one day. Yeah, that's forging, grinding, the whole thing. Yes, I do help when it comes to the rough grinding part. But when it gets to 120, they take over. Done. Yeah. It's not a learn how to grind a knife in one day. It's a bladesmithing, introduction to bladesmithing class. So I want to get them from forging as perfect as possible into grinding. So we forge flat, so it's easy for them to find the flats. And then we go into the quench, and after the quench, that's their problem. Done. Then I don't touch it anymore. If a guy then wants me to finish his knife, I'd literally charge him the fee of the course again, because we call that a stupidity fee. You came to make a knife, and now halfway through it, you decide, hey, the experienced guy has to finish this thing because he wants to show his mates he can really make a knife. Then you got to fucking pay for it, man. It's as easy as that. And no one in 80 years that I've been teaching this class, no one has taken me up on that. Not a single person. Why? Because you realize that you don't have enough money. Yeah, if you want me to brag with a knife that I've made, I'm going to put my logo on there, and you can brag and say, "Hey, you made this knife. Yeah, you forged it kind of straight, but this guy, the guy whose logo is on there, he finished it, and that's why it's looking so good." Yeah, and for that, you pay through your bloody eyes. It's easy as that. But anyway, so hopefully that kind of answered your question. Don't fuck with your backing. Don't fuck with the platen. Keep the platen soft. Keep it clean. Literally, I have a scraper, a paint scraper, next to my machine that's on a little rope that no one can take it away. And when I change the belt, when I'm grinding my knives, every single time, because that backing, a lot of the newer backings, especially the VSM 36 grits, the XK880Y and the XK 888, 885 and the 880, they have got graphite in the actual backing, in the belt. And if you work too hot, the graphite transfers over to your platen, you get these little black streaks. And if you're now going over to a Klingspor, for instance, J-Flex Yellow 100 grit, you will feel that texture, and that affects the grind. So I have got this little scraper as soon as I change the belt.
Nice ripples in your blade.
Yeah. I call them little worms. And they never run in the grind direction. So they never run in the grind direction. They're always like in the length of the blade.
Yep.
And then you literally have to step down 2 or 3 grits just to get that out. And that's just irritating because I didn't look at the platen. That's the machine I'm working on. Yeah. Done. So number one, maintain your machine. Make sure that thing is spot on, clean. Keep the platen clean. Keep the platen flat, and go slow. That is my advice on that one. Mitch, anything to add?
No, basically you covered everything with this question. The only thing I do differently basically is I hardly, after I've done the 120 grit ceramics, I switch to gator belts because they are in thickness, they are more or less the same as the ceramics. I've noticed that I do, because I grind full speed, I do have a problem with my flat grinds when going to thinner belts. And then I also don't have that problem with the tape on the thin belts. That that tick, 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 tick. That irritates the hell out of me.
Question. So Thomas is asking how to avoid belt.
Well, okay. I got something for that. Where is
There's a quick trick. But on the thinner belts you use, the more the belt bump is there. So let me just get myself in here. And we'll let Mr. Zwan show you his little trick there.
Let me get a belt.
Oh, so he's going into demo mode now. Full blown. He stood up. Second time.
Where is... here it is. Now your problem with the belt bump is this.
Left is right, right is left.
Because your belt where you grind is so freaking thin. You got your left is right, right is left. You got your adhesive strip there, and that causes the belt bump. What I do is when it's on the wheel like that, I just keep it on the wheel, and with this is a grinding disc for ceramic tiles.
Yeah, so it's got diamond impregnated disc, yeah?
Yeah, I just basically shave it away there.
Done. So just over
Like
the
that.
joint. You shave the grit away and not the tape.
Yeah, exactly. To make it thinner. You can't get it completely the same, but it does help.
Okay, so that's the advice. So if you want to use cheap belts, then that's what you're going to do. Otherwise, you go to Trizigator belts, which is a thicker belt, or you go to VSM Illumiron belts, which is also a nice thick cake belt, and then you don't have belt bump. Now, I've heard guys complain about belt bump on a 36 grit machine. I have been doing this for 12 years. I have never had belt bump on a 36 grit belt.
No.
That is just stupid. Sorry, man. If you are going to be taking a 36 grit ceramic belt and you're going to be running it over a 1-inch little roller, of course you're going to get fucking belt bump. Yeah, so you got to be clever about this. Yeah, you got to be clever.
Now, I think the guys that complain about that. Sorry, Niels. You go ahead.
No problem, sir.
I think the guys that complain about it on the 36 grit are the guys that use completely worn off 36 grit belts. Then you'll get belt bump. Otherwise, you won't.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Rockwell hardness file. Excellent.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Now, I must admit, I don't even own Rockwell hardness testing files.
They're too freaking expensive.
No. I mean, $1,800 is nothing. I spent 8,500 Rand on a digital temperature thermometer. Yeah. I'm 20 stain because 99% of knives are ground to final shape. Yeah, I'm glad you said 99. But yes, man, everyone says that everyone is stock removers. No. Difference between me and a stock remover is I hammer shit to 99% of perfection, and then I spend 2 minutes on the grinder. A stock remover only spends time on the grinder. So if you come to one of my classes, you will see the difference, how quickly it is to get a flat on a knife. And I can make a round bar do this. So I can make a round bar. Sorry. Let me just get that. I can make this from a round bar, which is what this has done. Stock removal. You're going to have to start with a 60 mil round bar. Yeah. Can't do this in stock removal. So that was, and then we generally just take the piss, man. Don't worry. You make knives in the way that makes you happy. Done?
Yeah.
I drink whiskey, but no ice, no water, just like it came from its mom.
Well, that depends on what kind of whiskey you drink.
Yeah, you can just go and eat corn and then call it whiskey. Yeah? There's only that little fermentation and filtering process that we worry about. Philip, absolute pleasure. Andy, sorry, man. So what's this one? Peter?
Super. Good.
Excellent.
Schöne Grüße nach South Africa.
So you could actually read that. I'm guessing that says I don't know, something South Africa.
He sends his best wishes to South Africa.
Oh, Peter, thank you very much, sir. That is greatly appreciated, man, and right back at you. Are you still saying no, man? I'm just talking crap, man. So
Well,
I'm
join
also
chefs.
broadcasting to the group SA Bladesmith, South African Bladesmiths. Or is this Sabre? I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Let's have a look quickly. Sabre, South African Bladesmiths Association. So this guy is commenting from Sabre, the Sabre group. Unfortunately, I don't have. Well, StreamYard, the software I'm using, doesn't have permission to pull your profile information. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're on that group and you're commenting, just start with a name. Introduce yourself, man. Say, hey, I'm Bob, and then from that, go forward. We are doing Bob. You know what, Mitch? You know what we should do?
Yeah.
Anyone that comments like this, all right, we should just refer to them as Bob. Facebook user Bob. Bob.
Bob. Oh,
Bob.
okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Bob.
Here you can call it Planet Bob, where we can do this. Gert is saying, so that I'm going to have you address that one, Mish.
I never use N690.
Okay, so then I'm going to address it.
Well, I use L4528, which is from Lorman, and which is kind of the same as N690, but I grind it all the way to a A16, which is more or less 1,200 grit, and then I start sanding at 800.
Okay, so you grind to A16 and then heat treat.
No, I grind to 120 grit, heat treat, and then I go back to the grinder and go up to A16.
Okay, all right. Because the question from Gert is specifically, what grit will your hands will be grinding or sanding in N690 before heat treat? So, Gert, if I do production work, I grind 80 grit and then I heat treat. Done. That's it. But that's production work, man.
Put my other glasses on.
I don't have time to spend grinding. So I'll grind to just about a 0.8 mil edge thickness on a 80 grit. 80 grit, and then I'll heat treat. Done. I have heat treated N690 at 36 grit, but that was an 8 millimeter thick piece. So you need to accommodate. So if you're going to be grinding 36 grit on N690, keep in mind if you're using ceramics, that ceramic cuts deep, brother. It cuts really deep. So I don't touch anything under 8 mil or 6 mil with the 36. I will start 80 grit if it's a 6 mil, but a 60 grit if it's a 6 mil. If it's 4 mil, I will only start grinding with an 80 grit. And then heat treat with that same. Done. That's it. Now, if I'm doing chef's knives, well, when I still did chef's knives, I started with 3 mil carbon steel, and I will just break the bevel, heat treat the entire thing as a 3 mil, and then grind hard. So on my N690 blades, the last 4 or 5 production runs we've done, I actually grind hard. So I don't grind and then heat treat. I heat treat the blank or the laser cut piece, and then go and grind. So then I don't worry about warpages, and I can get my flash surface finishes finished. So that works for me, man.
Yeah, I do the same with this stuff also. This is 2 mil, 15 and 20. First heat treat, then grind.
Done. So when you do the thin, sorry, what's the thickness on that again?
2 mil.
2 mil. So when you do 2 mil and you heat treat, sorry, let me just get this off. And you heat treat, do you clamp?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Have you got a specific clamping rig that you're using? 2 pieces of angle iron?
No, just 1 piece of angle iron, it works.
Okay, so now you need to explain to me. You got your knife. All right, comes out of the oil, you stick it onto the angle iron, and then?
I just clamp it on with, I think they're 25 mil G clamps. That's it.
I have the same ones. I've got an entire 5-liter ice cream bucket full of them.
I only have one because I lost all the other ones.
Next time you pop around to the shop, you're in the area, pop around, dude, you can have handsfuls. Because right in the beginning, when I started doing production work, I was using those as ways and means to keep my handle scales on while they were drying. Yeah. Okay, so I just want to show guys the articulation on this setup. So I'm going to unhook it, and I can swing this thing out of the way completely. Done.
Beautiful.
So I'm taking the sharp part, and I can put it off into the bench, lock it up again. Done. Yeah, not stab myself in the stomach.
I've got the same setup, man.
Hey, yes, I know.
Yeah,
but now I feel safer.
I'll show it. I'll show it to you.
Show it to me. You've got a set.
This is my setup.
I like that, dude. I really like that. Yeah.
I can turn it every which way I want to.
And that's one of those So what Mitch has got there is one of these. Yeah, one of these Torcraft little vice benches. Damn, I'm really struggling with the English today, man. So it's one of those, and you've obviously taken it out of that bracket, yeah?
Well, but actually, that ring around the ball broke.
Ah.
I tightened it too much.
Nice solution. But I see you have one of the new nice and blue ones.
Yeah. This one is about 2 years old.
This thing is about, I think it was my very first one. So this is about 16 years old.
Yeesh.
Yeah, man.
Years old as me.
Now, keep in mind, I did other shit before I started making knives, yeah? And that was one of the very first pieces of kit I bought myself. Where are we at now? I see there's a whole load of comments, man. The guys are saying thank you for the tips. That's really appreciated, gentlemen. Die VSM Belder. Okay, so Sean is saying those VSM belts slap really hard when they break, and don't ask questions. Yes, any belt. I've actually been slapped worse by I think it was 1,200 grit belt. I can't remember the make now. It was 3M, one of those, the original 3M belts, those thin little thingies. Trizacs, not the Gators, the original thin. It looks like, I don't know, like fibers. And it was a A16 that slapped the living crap out of me. The problem with those things is it never breaks. It's always a little strip. And I use 2 meter belts. So every time that thing comes around, it stripped off an extra piece. And it just kept on whipping me. Oh, look at that.
6
Those
yesterday.
are 3Ms, cheapies.
Yep.
Yeah.
I broke 6 of them yesterday, about 5 minutes after grinding.
Yeah, it's a 36, 30 something rand belt. Yeah, so it is really
something.
cheap.
Yeah.
For a ceramic, that is like the cheapest ceramic belt you can get on the market. Done. And obviously, they're not going to spend 200 rands worth of glue keeping that together. So yeah, but you also need to understand that belts, the glue strip, actually have a shelf life.
As what? Sorry.
It has a shelf life.
Oh, okay.
And that is one thing the guys don't tell you. Ah, you see. So never buy old.
They are sending 10 new belts, so I'm fine.
Oh, excellent. I'm just being told that lunch is ready, man. We did a lamb stew today, which is freaking awesome. So I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to go straight to bed, man. Going to have an afternoon nap, I think. Let my wife wake me up when she gets here. She's not going to be impressed with me. Are you still hanging around? Don't you have work to do? Dude, I've done my work. My job is to keep Mitch out of work.
Yeah, exactly, because I need to grind this bloody bugger.
Okay, so we're going to go on for another, let's call it 10 minutes, yeah? And then I'm going to let you go. Let's just cover any other questions. Robert is saying, hi, guys. First heat treat and then grind with 3 mil...
3CR12.
3CR12?
Don't know it.
3CR12 is a martensitic stainless steel. It is not a high carbon stainless steel. So what I do is I do cladding. In other words, if I do sunmai and I want a stainless on the sides, so it's when I say Martin City, yes, you can harden, but it's not going to get as hard as, for instance, N690. There's just not enough carbon in that steel to be able to make a knife, Robert. Sorry, buddy. It's not a knife steel. It's not. It is a nice steel, but not a knife steel. Yeah. So 6mm, 3CR12 with 8mm carbon, for instance, 01, and another piece of 6mm. Forge that down, you get a brilliant sunlight. And if you etch that 3CR12 just right, it forms this crystalline. It's like you've got glitter in the 3CR12. It is phenomenal. It's the best looking sunmai that you can get, man.
You can make me beat it.
Yeah, send me a WhatsApp. I'll talk you through it, man. What else is there? Mr. Hibbs, how's it going, buddy? Good morning. Excellent. Thank you very much, Anthony. Have fun, buddy.
Not Anthony.
Miguel, yes, I do want to redo that Kiridashi build. That thing yesterday just kicked my ass. Seriously. It really did. And I even asked for official excuses for everyone in the community to come up with official excuses. And you know what the sad thing is? About 40% of them are telling me, hey, blame it on old age. That's
too much
sad,
coffee.
Man. That's just sad. Not even the too much coffee. The guys are saying that I had too little coffee and I had to spend time going and getting more coffee. You know what the sad part is? Tulu made me 2 cups of coffee. Yeah. So right in the beginning of the stream, you see me drinking a cup of coffee, which I only finished half of. And then as I'm into the grind room, about halfway through the grind, he brings me another cup of coffee, which I found there this morning. I didn't even touch that one. So I can't even use the coffee as an excuse. So, but the Kiridashi build, yes, I do want to do it. And I initially told my wife I'm going to do it this afternoon. And then she reminded me that we have got an appointment. So I cannot do it this evening. On Saturday, I'm teaching a class. So I might just, because I have to be forging another knife on Sunday as a one-on-one class. So I might as well spend that time and redo that Kiridashi. I actually found an exact copy, the other part of that bullet that I was using. Yeah, so that was a dagger, and I made not a dagger, it was a broad-ass thing, and I cut the tang out. I didn't forge the tang out. So the 2 pieces left on the side, I used the one yesterday, so the other one is already on a handle, ready for me to do it again. Okay, and this time I'm actually taking this entire broadcasting system, and I'm not going to live broadcast. I'm just going to record everything, and then I'm going to upload it. Yeah? And then we'll have Ultra HD quality, and people can't bitch and moan about the sound because my cell phone, we now know, doesn't have the processing power to stream to my personal profile on Facebook, as well as the Saber group on Facebook, as well as to YouTube. It just couldn't do it, man. But the testing I did before that worked perfectly. It worked absolutely phenomenal, but it was only 2 minutes long. But anyway, okay, so Robert, yeah, man, give me a call. Yeah, man, like I said, Martin City stainless steel. And you want something Martin City if you want to do sunmai, especially different types of steels. So you make sure that you look, I forged welded 01 to 12C27 just to get a stainless. Yeah, but the problem with that is, and you can forge weld anything to anything. The problem with that is which one of the 2 steels do you then select as the heat treat? Yeah? What else is there? Sorry, man. Wayne, thanks, buddy. That's appreciated. Should do anything. You know what? I like that. I really, really like that. There was one guy, I can't remember his name. He comments on almost anything and everything I do. He's also a knife maker. He's a good friend. Now I can see his face, but I can't get his name. Oh, come on. And he is so going to phone me right after this. Okay, let's not throw him under the bus. But the big thing is, he said, I could say that he phoned me and wasted 2 minutes of my time. Now that is a good mate. That is a good mate, Andrew. Buddy, thank you once again. See, now, this is it. We need to kill it right there. I can't even remember my mates' names anymore. Thank you very much for letting me waste your time. Literally, like an hour and 25 minutes. It is really appreciated, buddy. So where can people get a hold of you on social media?
Facebook, and that's under my own name, Michel Zwan. Or on my Penguin Global Customs page, and on Instagram under Michel.Zwan. Zwan is with a Z.
Excellent. And me, if you don't know who I am, I don't know what the hell you're doing on this live web.
Who am I talking, actually? Who am I talking to?
Exactly. I am the dragon. Done. That's it. If you don't know who that is, well, you've got a problem. So on YouTube, it is Niels van den Berg, and you should see this on YouTube. Done. Just go YouTube/Niels van den Berg. On Facebook, Niels van den Berg. Google, just ask for Niels van den Berg. I'm the ugly mug dude. This guy, yeah. I'm not the singer, the good-looking singer. No, I'm not. And then either just ask for Black Dragon Forge. Yeah, blackdragonforge.com. Go and pop out. I don't sell my knives through blackdragonforge.com. So what we do is we build forges. That's what we do. Well, that's what my team does. They build forges. I just take the bucks and spend it. The way that it should do. Yeah. All right.
You sound like my wife now.
Exactly, buddy. Exactly. Like I'm saying, I'm still trying to figure out how I can do this and get paid for it. That ain't gonna happen, man. I definitely have a face for radio. Definitely. All right, buddy. Mr. Zwan. All right. The Honorable Zwan. Thank you very much for spending time with me, man. Great chatting to you, as always. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Okay.
Now
see you next time, Niels.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. And that was it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for spending time with us. Yeah. Sean's in the corner there, and he wants to ask me a question. Hello. Yeah, see, this is the way it should be. So let me go get to them. Thank you for spending time. Catch you on the flip side. Cheers.